Hey, welcome. Excited to have you guys. So, if you are anything like me, you have a dilemma when it comes to work. You realize that work is meaningful, and you almost have this conscience kind of battle like, how much work is enough? How much work is too little or too much? How do I know that I'm leaving it all on the court, so to speak, but also have I don't know, enjoy life? Because if you're like me, you don't think that work should be the only thing in life. You you want to still, that doesn't mean you have to contribute less than somebody who works 100-hour weeks, but you just want to do it in an impactful way, in the right way, and figure out what that looks like. And you want to be there for family, friends, your church community, even if you have that, whatever that looks like. You want to be there for those people and for your life. You want to enjoy it, and you realize that as a human you're multifaceted, and work is super important and you enjoy it and it's a good thing, but it's not everything. So where's that balance? If that does describe you, then you're in for a treat today. We're going to talk about the state of work as it is today, how much you are probably doing in a day right now, how productive you are right now, what the potential for productivity is, so how much you could be doing, and then we're simply going to end with some application. And to be honest, the application might be up to you. I'm going to basically give you the framework and ability to take this and run with it where you want to go. So we'll get there, and we'll look at that. And I do ask that you just excuse the look right now. Just coming to you guys in more of a chill way, but I'm also stuck down here in my office right now, so not able to change into fancy clothes for you. But I don't know, maybe we don't even need that. Maybe it's good just to be me to you and feel I've got my business is amazing. So without further ado, let's get started.
Put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real. But how's it supposed to feel?
All right, welcome to the Time Smith podcast, where I help you buy back your time in your existing day, and I teach you the principles for how to then use it effectively, all that extra time you've got back. So before I get started, my free gift to you, don't want to forget about it, because people have basically just been using this guide to get like 2, 3, 4 hours back in their day, and I don't even know how to monetize it yet. It's really not about monetizing it at this point. So that's how good of a free gift this is to you. Just enjoy it. It's timesmith.work/guide. I think at some point I'll have a community or a coaching program or any of the above. I'm kind of doing that for free right now, and I'm excited to work into a program that I can charge for at some point. So I'm looking forward to that. So if you have any ideas, or if you want to be kind of my beta test and figuring this out, I've had a lot of success so far with those. I've been in my group, and I'd love to have you in my group. Either way, just wanted to mention that free gift to you, timesmith.work/guide. All right, so the state of things today, let's get started. So just a lot of research on this has been done, this topic. So I think it was, Rescue Time. They looked at 185 million hours, of work time, people on their computers, and found that the average person is on a doing something productive, or at least on an application that would be productive, like not just checking email, chat, social media, all that stuff. They're actually like on a productive app for 2 hours and 45 minutes a day. This was before COVID in 2019, so it's probably even less today, I would imagine, but 2 hours and 45 minutes of productive work a day. Should have asked before that what you would think it would be. Is that a small number? Because to me, it definitely is a small number, but then when you hear it, it's almost like not that shocking for some reason. But here's the thing that I think is kind of crazy with this. They also found that on average, people checked their email or chat every 6 minutes. On average, they were distracted by it. 35% of the population was distracted by email and chat every 3 minutes. So let me just give you like a really quick story of what this really looks like. The other night I went to gymnastics to watch my daughter, but she's really little. They take turns, and so sometimes they're far away and different stuff. So I brought my book to read at the same time, so I could watch her when I was able to and read when I wasn't. In the hour I was there, I read 3 pages, and they were like distracted pages. It was unenjoyable reading, even though I liked the book, because it was like I would look up, read a little bit, my son would talk to me, read a little bit, forget where I was, wife would talk to me, I'd look up, I was constantly distracted is what I'm trying to say. And so what happened is I basically read 3 pages when I could have read, 30 or whatever in the hour pretty easily if I wasn't distracted. And it was like miserable trying to read that book and with all those distractions. So let's just like put this into context. And this is the war I'm fighting on our culture, is trying to help free us from this, is that people on average are productive, like looking at things, doing real things in their day for 2 hours and 45 minutes and are distracted every 3 to 6 minutes during that time even. I mean, it's a no wonder that we don't like work. Like, I didn't enjoy reading that book because it's just like miserable trying to read and being distracted the whole time. And I've talked about this on my Task Watch episode. I think it was episode 2. It's only 15 minutes, and that one episode would save you like 15 or like half your day if you go look at that and put into practice the things I say there. But distractions cost us so much. So basically, people don't work all that much in a day. I mean, you can say 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I mean, I think that that's a stretch if you're distracted every 3 to 6 minutes. How productive really are you? I started, and I'll get into this at the end, but I started just doing one real task a day and not timing myself because I wanted to reward myself for being quick and efficient and innovative and smart about it. So if that one real task took me 15 minutes or even 5 minutes, then I was done. Or if it took me 2.5 hours, I would stop then and be done. And when I really dived in undistracted to just one thing, I got more done than 8 hours in a day for months and months previous of just distracted chaos. So all that to say, we are not very productive right now. And when you looked at this data from Rescue Time for 185 million hours that they looked at, 185 million hours of people's days, work days, like it's really interesting. You can look it up, but it's like really interesting to see the curve of time in productive applications, because like it really goes down steep after 3 hours. Like there's not very many people who are productive in productive applications for 4 hours. There's way less that are in 5 hours, and then over 5 hours in a productive application a day, and it's like you are in like the 98th percentile is what it looks like from this graph. So people think that they're working 8 hours, and like, yes, I think that email and chat, like that's communication, that's part of our jobs. So, there is some that's actually legit, but I suggest you doing that all at one time. First thing, getting it all over with, that's productive, but then you move on and you're not distracted the rest of the time. So all I'm saying is like people right now, they don't work 8 hours. And even the most productive people only have their working actively on productive applications 4 to 5 hours. You're really, really high in the high percentages if you're doing that much time. So pretty much what's the state of things right now? We're really not very productive. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I'm just trying to wake us up to this. And maybe you already are productive and you're just trying to figure out what's the max or whatever, or maybe you kind of just needed me to tell you that, like, it's okay that you're not super productive. That's normal, and I want to help you be more productive, not so that you can exhaust yourself and kill yourself and be like a robot of just outputting things, because I see productivity as like stewarding all areas of our life really well and really effectively, so that you really enjoy and are passionate about work, but also really enjoy and are passionate about other things. We'll get to that in a second. So anyways, I think that's important though. We're not very productive right now, and we kind of just need to wake up to that fact of where we're at. So let's say that you put into process the power routine. It's in that guide I mentioned earlier, and I've got some resources on it, and kind of I'm going through this. This is the W in power routine, actually the work phase of power routine that I'm talking about today. So the W in power. So let's say that you have you're done with distractions, like you've muted all your notifications except for emergencies, like maybe somebody having your phone number to call if they really need you, or urgent on your chat, and you're keeping the 3 lists I recommend. Like honestly, if you're anything like me, or you'll probably just like have so much free time you don't even know what to do with it. And so now we're going to talk about how much actual work, once you're done with, emails and looking through your lists, maybe following up on your waiting list or preparing for your meetings for the day. Now you're in the work phase. How much maximum work do you need to do? Because this is important for like our conscience. For me, before God, I want to be like basically like an athlete that like leaves it all on the floor, leaves it all back at the match. Like I gave it my all, but like not killing myself and dreading going back again, if that makes sense. I think a good measure of like if you've worked too much and if you've killed yourself too much is that you don't look forward to going back again. That means you went a little bit too hard. So there's one way to do it. That's my just advice to you, but let's look at some research. So this is from the 1950s, this research. Really interesting that it's still being cited today and relevant. So it was the Illinois Institute of Technology, I believe. They did a study where they, and again, now we're on the topic of how much potential do we have in a week to work? How much should we be working, like really productive work? So anyways, back to this research, they had scientists and they measured their productivity, like how much, somehow they had a measurement for what output, like productive output that these scientists had each week. And then they had different scientists work, different groups of scientists work only a certain amount of hours each week. And then they measured how productive they are. So they had scientists, they had some scientists only work 5 hours a week, some work 25 hours a week, others work 35 hours a week, and a fourth group work 60 hours a week. So I'll ask you, which do you think was the most productive group? If you guessed 60 hours, you are wrong. They were the least productive. If you guessed 5 hours, you're actually correct. Or if you guessed 25 hours, you're correct. The scientists that worked 5 hours a week and the scientists that worked 25 hours a week were both equally productive. The scientists that worked 35 hours a week were half as productive as the 5 hours or 25-hour groups. And the scientists that worked 60 hours a week were even less productive than all 3 of the other groups. So less than half of the 5 hours. Okay, so what does that tell us? Because I think in my experience, this is totally how it works. I worked like 8 hours of chaos banging my head against the wall and got almost nothing real, tangible, measurable done. And when I started putting these things into practice, I was getting more done in 2 hours than I could have in 8. Okay, so then being able to reinvest it in my company and different stuff, but had double the customers on way less time than I used to, getting almost nothing done with my half of my customers on 8 hours a day. So what's the difference? I feel like if you are working 60 hours, let's just hypothesize, these scientists, they were working 60 hours and getting way less done than their counterparts working 5. Well, I bet those scientists that went in with, they just worked those 5 hours, they were prioritizing exactly what they needed to get done, right? Like they had thought ahead of time, like, I've got these 5 hours, like this is serious. I'm gonna do, it's almost, I guess that's kind of like a game, like athlete, like they go play football or basketball or whatever for 5 hours or less, and then they're done. But like, it's interesting. And you can like go hard for a little bit, and then, anyways, I've digressed. But those, when you constrain your time, you actually, and we'll talk about this with another thing of research, but let me go into it now. Another piece of research, this was from 2021, so a lot more recent. They found that they researched a group of workers, I forget where it was in Europe, but they had them, basically it was like a work-life balance. And they had these workers, it was a large group of them. They had 2 control groups. One, they said, like, they allowed to concentrate on life, like things outside of just work, like recreation and hobbies and family and friends. And they said, don't let work interfere with those things. Like their work-life balance, how they measured it is like interference and stress created from, work interfering throughout your day, taking all of your energy and then interfering with your personal life and stuff like that. So they said, they said, sacrifice work for life. Like, don't let work interfere, and enjoy your life. They were more productive. They had better work output, better creativity, all of that stuff. Then the other set of workers where they said work hard, and basically they let work kind of be more important and dominant than their life and recreation and hobbies and family. Like, the idea is one group sacrificed work for like their life, and the other group did not. They concentrated on work, doing the most they could with work, and being like the most productive, getting the most potential they could out of it. And the group that sacrificed work for life was more productive and way happier and way more creative and got way more done than the group that just worked. There's more research that shows that we have a max capacity a day for creative output of 4 to 5 hours a day. And I feel like I'm looking at my phone because I've been tracking this for myself. So that's research where it's like really famous people that are super successful, looking at their daily routines, which I recommend you have a daily routine because it's just habits put together to make you successful and get through the things you need to get to. But they just looked at their daily routine and saw how much did this person not distracted, just dedicated work time, how much did they do? And they let themselves off the hook, like Charles Darwin or who was the famous writer? I just have famous writer here, Higgins. Anyways, he did 5 hours straight, and then he was done a day. If you don't believe me how much productive work you can do a day, I suggest downloading something like timelines. I don't know if this is going to be blurry or not. It's this free app, and then they want you to pay if you do anything more than 3 things. But like it can track exactly, like I have it on my home screen here. Like it's telling me how much time I have on purposely going easy, which I need to update that because I'm not purposely going easy right now. I am high work energy, but measure yourself. The app is called Timelines, and you can download it for free, and then just like measure yourself throughout the day. Like, when are the times that you are like purposely going hard? And then just see how much time you have during the day of undistracted true work. It might be less than you think. So anyways, research shows that so we've got these things, right? For maximum potential, like, God, you made me. How much do you want me to work a day? Remember the experiment. Scientists working only 5 hours a week got the most done. They were tied with the people with 25 hours. The other research showing that people who sacrificed work for their lives actually had more work output. Or other research that shows, just looking anecdotally, and potentially just maybe there's more research to it, but that 4 to 5 hours is our max creative capacity a day. And I'm like ambitious. I'm a like high achiever. I'm like go, go, go sort of personality. And I've found this stuff to be true. Like, we can't go for 8 hours straight. That's not how we are designed or made. In fact, the 8-hour workday is from the Industrial Revolution. It's from Ford moving from like 10-hour workdays, 6 days or 7 days a week or whatever it was, to 8 hours, 5 days a week. And they found that people were more productive than the 6 or 7 days at 10 hours. And then the proof was just like so huge that all the factories, shifted to 40-hour work weeks. And we still do 8 hours a day because of that. So obviously this needs rethought, because nobody's thinking critically about this fact that 40 hours makes absolutely no sense. It's just our lazy way of measuring that you're doing your job. I could go on my soapbox right now, but I will stop. I'll stop it there. All right, so implications for our real life. All right, so implications for our real life. First, let me just say that for the work part of your power routine, so you got through P, processing your email and chat, you got through all of that. You have looked through so then you got to the O in power, open your lists. So you looked through all your email, or you looked through all your meeting lists. If you had meetings today, if it's Tuesday or Thursday, you followed up and looked at all your waiting list items. And then you've also looked at your next list items. So you have your next list, and now the work phase is to transition from looking at your list to doing your work. So what do I suggest for the work phase? First, I genuinely suggest that you just do one thing on your next list. Remember, your next list should be comprised of things that you think will take you 15 minutes or more. So these aren't like teeny tiny things, though sometimes, you go to do it and it's like way quicker. And then you can check it off in 30 seconds when you thought it was going to be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but good for you because you concentrated on that thing, you looked into it, you got past that barrier of difficulty of like deciding to pursue it, and then you did it, and then it turned out to be really easy. Or on the flip side, maybe something takes a long time and you're not able to finish it. For those situations, I would say try to stop at 2.5 hours, but figure out yourself. Like, if you have a task that's going to take you 10 hours to complete, that could probably be a thing that you do for a couple days potentially. But I think you're going to be the happiest, have the best creative output, the best output in general, if you can learn when you start to run on fumes. Like, how far can you be in like the flow state, as it's called, where you're like time kind of slows down or stops, or it's not even in existence anymore, which is kind of cool to think about. And you're just working, and it's like you're engrossed in the thing that you're doing. How long can you do that without suffering from like your energy just dropping and pushing like against a wall, and you, as I call it, you like are running on fumes? Don't run on fumes. At that point, you need to stop and continue through the power routine. Rest, review, rejuvenate. So maybe go exercise, whatever it looks like for you after that, but stop your work because you need a break, because that's just my suggestion to you. Try it out. Don't kill yourself all day long because it's more sustainable too. So minimum one real task on your list each day. That's the work phase. Maximum like 2 hours or so, because after that you're probably typically running on fumes. I said you had 4 or 5 hours total of productivity, of creative capacity in a day, and that's kind of in chunks. If you can do 4 or 5 hours straight and then like you're just exhausted and toast and done, and that's how you like to do it, that's totally good. But I would suggest stopping after like 2 hours at first, and then just figuring out where to go from there, because a lot of us need to detox from the hustle. Detox from pushing and slaving over a task list and just trying to get to everything and never getting to everything. We need to stop that. So at first, the work phase, all you have to do is one real thing, or at max 2 hours, and then you're done with the work phase. That is my suggestion to you, and then you can expand on that as you see fit. Like I've told you here, we're way less productive than we think. And our max is probably less than we think, but also realistic for being a human being. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to cover is just how do we know what to do next? So we know that we want to do one main thing in a power routine. During the work phase, we do one thing and then stop. Or at max 2 hours on something and then stop, and we can pick it up later. How do you know what to do? So here's where I want to cite my good friend Harry Potter. If you're not familiar, he is a wizard. And by the way, if you're not familiar, what? Everybody knows Harry Potter, but this is him just getting to Hogwarts, the school where he is going to be the next few years, and he is going to, this sorting hat is going to decide which house of the 4 houses he's going to be in. And he really doesn't want to be in Slytherin, but a lot of what his bloodline even comes into play, but like even what he should be potentially, which house he should be in might be Slytherin, but he really doesn't want to be in Slytherin. He wants to be in Gryffindor, which is the house with courage and bravery and the good guys, basically. So let's just listen to this quick.
For your name, you will come forth. I shall place the sorting hat on your head, and you will be sorted into your houses.
Difficult, very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see. Not a bad mind either. There's talent, oh yes, and a thirst to prove yourself. But where to put you?
Not Slytherin. Not Slytherin.
Not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure? You could be great, you know. It's all here in your head. And Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness. There's no doubt about that. No? Well, if you're sure, better be Gryffindor!
All right, so what is the point of that, Robert? I think about that scene more than I should, because I think it's just how life really works. And in so many areas of life, I said this during an interview once. When they asked me what I wanted to do with my life, I referenced that, and then I said why, because it didn't make sense why I wanted to do what I did with my life, but I really wanted to do what I wanted to do with my life. And that's what this illustrates. Maybe you feel like you should do something on your next list, but you don't want to. Maybe it's that big hard thing and you're like, oh, I should do that. Or it's that thing you don't like to do and you're like, I should do that. It makes sense for me to do that. And real quick, pause all of this. If you do have a deadline, and you have that on your next list, it'll, your task, it'll say, do whatever by such and such date. You might have to get those done first or whatever. But for the most part, you have all these tasks on your list. Here's my suggestion. I've read books on this, trying to figure out what is the best thing to do next. And they all just feel like a bunch of frameworks that don't really answer the question. What we all want to hear is what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you to do it because I really think it works. Do the task on your next list that you want to do. Yeah, I said it. Do the task on your list that you want to do. It's that simple. I don't want you to go to your task list every day and do it just be drudgery because you're doing the stuff you don't want to do. I want you to do the thing you want to do. And I think we hear this and we just think that maybe you're not like me. Maybe I'm just assuming things. But I think that a lot of us, we think, oh, well, that just means I'm going to do the easiest, smallest, lightest thing every day. And maybe that's true just a little bit at first, maybe that's okay. But after that, I really think that it doesn't actually work that way. What happens is you might have stayed up way too late last night and you get to your next list and oh man, that short, easy one looks really good. Do it. And then another day you have a lot of energy, excitement, and you're ready to go because you let yourself off the hook yesterday and you just got more rest and you're ready. If you're like me, then you actually want to do those big hard things because you're super excited to get those big hard things off your list. So what I'm saying is just try this, okay? I'm basically asking you to experiment with me. It worked for me and I've gotten a lot more done and enjoy my work a lot more doing it this way. Just do one thing and do the thing you want to do. The thing you don't like to do that's big and scary or whatever, you'll put it off a few days. So what? Why does that matter? A few days from now though, you're gonna have gotten through these other things. Maybe a few new things have come on and you're still staring that big one down. And then you know what you're gonna say? Instead of saying, fine, I should do that one, you're gonna say, that's the one I'm gonna get off my list today because I am tired of looking at that thing on my list. I'm gonna do it. And you do it. And the difference is one is guilt, I should do this. And one is empowerment, yeah, that's been on my list, but I'm going to get to it today. So that's what I'm saying. Harry Potter has something to teach us. And if that, I don't know if that's copyright or something, if I have that in my video, but basically what happens is Harry Potter is Slytherin, the bad house or whatever. Sorry for all you Slytherin fans. He really doesn't want to go there, even though it's the thing that makes most sense potentially. He really wants to go to Gryffindor, where the brave, courageous, and just good people are. And so he just says, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. And that desire to be not in Slytherin was more important to the objective Sorting Hat than that desire was more important than what made sense, logically. Do you get where I'm going with all this? So, you might say, Robert, that's too simple. Robert, that doesn't make sense. That's fine. But if you're willing to trust me and try it out, do the one thing on your list only, and do the thing that you want to do. I told you guys that my program is simple, and it is built around not like output. It is built around being a human being and getting the most potential out of our lives and from our lives, and in an enjoyable way that's full of peace and dignity and growth and all of those things. All right, so that's my advice to you. Try for the work phase to do one main thing, and maybe stop after 2 hours if it's taken that long, and take it up again a later time. And you're done with the work phase. And when you decide what to do during the work phase, take deadlines into account, take the size of things into account, take the energy you have into account, all that stuff. But in the end, let your decision be what you want to do and not out of guilt. All right, and then you can build it from there. I haven't had to really increase it from there. I've found that for the most part, I'm able to do most of my work in just one main thing a day. But sometimes I get a few things off my list if I'm feeling pretty good that day. All right, so that is the work phase. And then one more thing I just kind of want to ask you guys about, and I'd love for you to participate in the comments about this. What does this mean for your life? Like, if all the research shows that you can only get 4 or 5 hours max, and even if you did, you would be in the very top percentile of people. If that was undistracted 4 or 5 hours, can you imagine getting 4 or 5 hours of undistracted time every day? Of good energy, like where your energy is like up and good each day, like using that time. I mean, you could save some for your family and friends, or you could give it all to work, whatever that looks like. I'm just curious in the comments, like, what does that, if you're watching on YouTube, like, what does that mean for your life? If right now the average person works 2 hours, and before COVID even, they work 2 hours and 45 minutes of being distracted every 3 to 6 minutes, but instead you could have 4 to 5 hours of not distracted time every day. And then you would be completely out mentally, but you would have left it all on the field. What does that mean for your life? Does that mean hobbies, friends? Does that mean working less? Does that mean figuring out a side business? What does it mean for you? If it means a side business, just be conscious of your contract with your current employer, because that is something to think about too. What does it mean for your life, though? I really would love to know that. All right. That is all for today. Remember my free gift to you, super free gift. The timesmith.work/guide. That's going to get you 2 hours back in your day. First day that's implemented. Easy. And then from there, the world's your oyster. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully I just really hope that this is helpful. And if it has helped you, reach out, because I love to hear that. It encourages me, especially needing that encouragement when I'm starting out here. So appreciate you, and see you next week.
Commit and climb, the only way to win at life. I never miss, that's fact. Taking big swings, put your hand to the bat. Put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag. Cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real. But how's it supposed to feel?